Okay, so I'm here with Steph, and we tried this yesterday. We actually did it at the studio, so this is take 2. And I want to talk to her about her pregnancy. Now, I know when she sits like this, I don't know if you can see, but I can't detect that she's pregnant because it's just so amazing that she just has like a little ball. And that's it. And what trimester are you in now?
My 3rd trimester.
And I'm not going to make the mistake like we did yesterday. This is the final one.
Yes, this is. There's the 4th one is when the baby's here.
Yesterday I was like the 4th trimester, and she was like, no. But yesterday we actually did a class with Steph, and we surprised her, and we all taped these big hydro balls on our tummies, and I had one of the 6-kilogram hydro balls.
Yeah,
and I did the class with you, and like I promise you, I will never have a baby. Never.
You can't.
No. So let's get into it. So the purpose of this video is really to talk to you about your pregnancy journey relative to your rebounding, because what you've done is quite strange, and we get lots of people asking us this question: rebounding, and I'm pregnant. Can I? Can't I? Should I? Etc. So what I did was I prepared some questions, and I want to step through them, and then you can just answer them as like openly and honestly as you can. But the big thing is, and I'll just say this in the beginning, I'm going to say it at the end, we're not advocating that if you're pregnant, you jump on a rebounder. We're not doing that. Okay, so very, very clear, just from a context perspective, check with your gynae, check with your doctor. Steph's journey is unique to her. She's got a very different pregnancy perhaps to yours, but it's just interesting to see someone that is a bounti instructor, fell pregnant, and her journey. And I thought just unraveling that, there's going to be some learnings in there, and it may answer a question for you, but be very, very clear. We're not saying go and bounce on a rebounder when you're pregnant. Okay, we're saying go check, make sure, take a look at all your symptoms, etc., and listen to Steph's journey. Maybe you can learn some things from it. Okay, let's get to it. So you're in your final trimester, still bouncing, because I was in your class.
Yeah.
What has kept you motivated to continue with your bounty rebounding practice throughout your pregnancy?
So what I said to you yesterday as well is movement has been the one thing that's kept the pain away from my body.
Right.
So I don't feel pain when I move. And as soon as I stop moving, that's when I feel sore from my pregnancy. And I say to my husband a lot, my sister, everyone, slow down, you need to slow down. When are you going to slow down? Well, I went to the gynae today and she told me I'm doing pretty well and she's quite happy with me to continue. Obviously, I do need to slow down a little bit, pull it back, but the movement has been super beneficial to keep me mobile and like I don't feel sore, like I'm not feeling any pain besides the normal rib pain.
But your pregnancy is very normal. You don't have any preconditions, etc. So talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, so it is a normal pregnancy, and I think that that's important to make everyone aware of. Like I haven't had any issues that have made me like having to like go into bed rest or any of that. So I've been lucky that I've been able to move. I haven't got a short cervix, so I don't have to worry about the baby just falling out. So I have been very lucky in that regard. I've had a normal pregnancy with normal symptoms, trimester 1, nausea, vomiting, all of that, and then moving through all of that into where I am now. So it's been a relatively good pregnancy. So
and I think that's important to understand. But just to clarify, for those of you watching this and you don't know who Steph is a bounty instructor. So she does advanced level, intermediate to advanced level rebounding. And she's in her 3rd trimester. She's like 6-7 weeks away from giving birth, and she's still doing classes. So by the way, so you said in the beginning, so are you doing the class on Saturday?
Yes, I will be.
And is that your last one?
That should be my last one. Yeah.
What is the good? Did your gynae say that should be your last one?
Shame. Like we were saying this yesterday. Like gynae, they don't really understand what it is that you're doing. So I've kind of explained it to her. Initially, she was like, not so certain. Like, don't think you should do that. But after a few times, teaching and coming back, and I was like, how's the baby? Is everything okay? Can I continue? She finally started to accept that it was fine, and the baby was fine, and I was doing okay. And she's like, no, carry on. Like now she's all chill. Like she said to me today, cervix is good. Carry on. It's fine.
So that's amazing. That's a good point. I think let's stick on that point because it's the way to talk about it. But a lot of gynaes are going to default to don't do it.
Yeah.
But they don't know the type of rebounder that you're bouncing on, and they don't know the type of movement that you're doing. Because if you say rebounding, stereotypically, if you're not aware of the modality, people think it's holding onto a T-bar and revving your legs violently, whereas bounty is very much a structured, exercise-imbued way of moving. talk about that a little bit relative to you, because you have this like Pilates background to things.
Yeah.
There's a way that you pick your rebounder, even though it is a bounty rebounder. So go through that a little bit.
Yeah, so obviously I have more of a Pilates background, and that's why Sculpt has a very Pilates feel to it, Pilates bar, and maybe not as much intense bouncing. We do bouncing,
There's a lot of it. She's lying. That part's a lie.
But there's definitely more controlled work
Yes.
that comes into play, and I've definitely focused a lot more during this pregnancy on more the controlled work, which is actually sometimes the harder work. And that's why people are saying maybe the classes are getting harder or more intense, but it's because we're focusing on that endurance. We're actually pushing the muscle a bit further. I'm taking you to that level that's uncomfortable, and I think that's what makes Sculpt so unique.
But you also said that the tension of the mat on the rebound is so important, right? So what yesterday when we discussed it, quality of a rebound is so important. Just talk to that, because people, and I think if you're a gynae, you're definitely going to say no, because the cheap rebounders that are out there, when you bounce on them, you get that flat spot, and I think that flat spot can lead to complications in a pregnancy, because they like duds on your spine and etc.
So I mean, if it's too hard, it's obviously like the whole point of rebounding is it's supposed to be low impact, and if you're on a rebounder that is too hard, it actually, you feel that through your whole body. And when you're pregnant, it's quite uncomfortable to be jumping on quite a hard rebounder. You also don't want to go too soft, because it also can feel absolutely exhausting as a pregnant.
So you stay away from Lisa's one.
Stay away from Lisa's rebounder. Every time they put hers on stage, I'm like, you can get that one off. But that, I mean, the intensity of the workout actually comes from the softer rebounder versus that firm rebounder. But I do jump around class trying to figure out which one feels better for me. And yeah, like I said to you yesterday, walking around the shopping mall, I feel more pressure in my stomach walking than I do from rebounding.
That's extraordinary.
And that also blows my mind every time I say it, because it's strange to me that as soon as I get on the rebounder, like, I don't feel any pressure, but then I'll go walking with my husband through the shops and I'm like, I need to slow down, like, you're walking too fast, and like here I'm doing like jogging on the rebound, and he's like, but you're lying, because I saw you do that.
Exactly. But again, just so for people that's watching this, again, it's the type of rebounder. So when you're in a bounty rebounder, highly curated, exceptional quality.
Absolutely.
But even there, Steph's saying careful, right? So like, I would never advocate for someone on a spring rebounder to even consider pregnancy on a spring rebound. I think there's not enough impact absorption there.
Yeah.
I think the bungees have enough, but even the bungees, there's different types and you can set them, etc. And you're picking relative to that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So how have you adapted your bounty workouts as your pregnancy has progressed through these phases?
So as I said, I'm trying to avoid like pushing my heart rate too high. I need to know when to pull back, but yeah, I mean, limiting, and I think we'll get into that, I think, a bit just now, but limiting certain movements that are not like okay for being pregnant and doing those movements. You can't do everything.
No, you can't. Tuck jumps are definitely out of the question.
Yeah, I'm not exactly. I'm not doing planking. It's too much pressure into my abdominals.
Right.
So I'm avoiding certain exercises that I know are like not beneficial for being pregnant and not going to help me. And yeah, then I'm just focusing on things that I can do. But in saying that, the class, I think everyone's still getting a great workout.
Yeah, you are. I mean, last night it was like, you say you don't plank, but then there's this other way of planking that's more horrific. Anyway, what are the key physical and mental benefits you've personally experienced while rebounding through your pregnancy?
So, I mean, obviously your hormones throughout your pregnancy are up and down, and you can get very emotional, and it changes throughout the season. But I think the rebounding has kept me sane. It literally has kept me sane. And as I say, like, everyone's telling me, slow down. Are you sure you're okay? And I'm like, trust me, I'm okay. And if I don't do it, I actually start feeling like a bit mentally low.
Yesterday you mentioned that, like, some pregnancy ladies, you see there's some fluid retention, some swelling. You don't seem to have experienced that.
So, I mean, in your third trimester, you start having like the swelling, feet, hands, nose, your face changes a lot. I'm not saying that I have that won't happen to me, but I can say for certain, like, my rings are still fitting. A lot of people say their rings just stop fitting them because of all the swelling, and I am prone to inflammation, so know that about myself. And obviously rebounding helps with all that water retention and that inflammation, and so I think that's been hugely beneficial.
Okay, so mental and physical benefits.
Yeah.
So you correlate to rebounding relative to the swelling.
Yeah, definitely.
That's extraordinary. So were there any misconceptions or fears about exercising, specifically rebounding, while pregnant that you did encounter, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so I mean,
Like misconceptions, things that.
well, I mean, I think, yeah, like there was a big fear about the bouncing and how that would, I mean, being pregnant
Yeah.
and bouncing. This is like not two things that you see.
So the big one is
people
the
bring
wean,
together.
right?
Yes. So that was it. So now, obviously, because you've got this baby and hanging on your bladder, kicking you in your bladder, you would think that, I mean, you'd need to pee during the entire class. I haven't had any issues with that at all, and I honestly put that down to the pelvic floor, being able to strengthen my pelvic floor through, prior to falling pregnant,
Right.
through both Pilates method, which is incorporated in the sculpt routines and stuff. So I'm putting it down to that because
Really?
I have not had any issues. I've not jumped off once teaching a class. I thought that might be a thing, but I have to climb off the rebounder and go pee and then come back and say sorry everyone.
Yeah, because
But
incontinence
no.
is a thing. Like post-pregnancy incontinence is very common.
Common.
But we've seen, like, literally, just from a testimony perspective, we've seen so many women have incontinence rebound, and it heals it.
Yes.
It's gone.
I think in the beginning, it might happen after pregnancy. If you haven't rebounded before, you really have that weak pelvic floor, it may happen that you do, you need to go to the loo or whatever it might be, but you have to actually work through it and get to that point that the pelvic floor now starts to strengthen, because naturally you are lifting up through the pelvic floor while you're jumping. So you actually, it's a really easy way to strengthen your pelvic floor without even thinking about it.
That's incredible. Tell me about that story, because the question relates to that, but tell me about the story when your gynae first said, what did she first say to you when you walked in and said, okay, I'm going to start rebounding?
She said no.
And then?
She said no. She said, I don't think she understood, but when I said to her, this is what I do, can I continue? And she was nervous about it. I think like anything, you think of falling off. Falling off the rebounder, injuries that can happen, and I think initially she was just like, this is not a safe thing to do. I don't think you should do it. But after, like I say, after a couple of times of going and then going back for my
No, wait, you're missing out a piece. Your piece is, she said no, and then you went to yourself, I'm going to do it anyway.
I'm going to do it anyway, because I knew that it was safe.
Right.
And I think that's the thing. Like, I knew it was safe. And I said to you before, I did a course, a pregnancy course prior to falling pregnant, before I even knew I was going to fall pregnant, just to understand how to train and be safe while pregnant. And I knew that I had enough knowledge and information to do it safely. And I just trusted that it was going to be okay.
Right.
And and then I did it. And then she was quite surprised. And I think,
So the key thing is, like, kind of know your body.
Yeah.
But approach it carefully.
Yes.
Right? Don't just go and do the crazy things.
So that's the
right?
thing. I do know my body well enough to say, like, okay, cool, this feels good for me. This doesn't feel good. I need to pull back here. I need to, you've got to be aware of that. You also got to understand it. And I think I have knowledge of what I can and cannot do. And I think that also helps.
And I think that's important for someone else watching this. Steph is like a Pilates instructor. Steph is a bounti instructor. So, when you're at that level, you're in tune with your body. And when you're making calls and decisions, it's not just reckless. You kind of understand your body. You know how to push, when not to push. You understand muscular structures in your body, etc. So if you're watching this, careful. Because Steph's approach is not necessarily the approach. Okay, she knows all of that. Therefore, she could disagree with a gynae and go do it anyway. So just be careful when you approach it. So what role is rebounding played in managing common pregnancy challenges like back pain, swelling, or energy levels?
Yeah, so we've spoken about the swelling side of things. I haven't experienced any back pain, like nothing, like no lower back pain. And I think that's so interesting, because I expected that first everyone goes on about the back pain because of the weight of the baby. My baby's now 2.4 kilograms, so I checked today.
Bella was born at that weight.
Yeah, that's
like a little bit, a handful.
She was very small. So she's probably going to come out at 3.3. So she's not a small baby, but
No.
she's not a big baby either. But in saying that, the weight of that baby is on your body,
Totally.
and you've got to be able to hold your body upright and still have that strength. And I put it down to the core strength that I've built through teaching the sculpt method, and you've got to have that core strength.
Right,
and as I said yesterday, I don't avoid doing core work just because I'm pregnant. So I don't focus on ab specific work, but I do core strengthening work. And you must remember, like, your core is a corset. It's from front to back.
Yeah.
So you have to continually strengthen your core, even in pregnancy.
Have you ever stopped and looked at your tummy and asked yourself, like, where are your abs? Like, where are they?
All day. Especially when you do the pat down,
Yeah,
and I'm
exactly.
like, where are we going?
Yeah. I remember, one of the things that was very eerie when Lisa had a C-section, and I was looking over the little thing, and I watched them cut her open.
Yeah.
I actually saw them lift the skin, and I could see her ab muscles.
Yeah, it's weird.
And then they like cut around that. That was very
it's
strange.
very strange.
Very, very strange. So, what would you say to expecting moms who are nervous about starting or continuing movement during pregnancy? Look, you've said a lot, but at an 80,000 foot level, what would be your general guidance?
I think, as we said, if you're healthy enough to continue moving, continue moving. It's going to benefit you not only during the pregnancy, but after the pregnancy. If you're unfortunate that you can't and you're bed bound, it does take a lot longer to get back into it. But if you can move, like, just do something. And I was saying yesterday, the rebounder doesn't have to be used as just a jumping platform. It can be used as a stability platform. You can use it for trying to get your balance right. We're off balance because we've got the baby, so we're out of our center of gravity's not there. We also have a lot of relaxin in our bodies as we're pregnant, so that's being released into your body, and there's a high chance of injury because you could twist an ankle or something like that. So being able to use the rebounder as a balancing platform to try to get the strength into your ankles and whatever it is, even if you're doing a lunge and you're not actually physically using it as a jumping platform, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, also, like, from a practicality perspective, you can do it in your jams. You could do it irrespective of the weather.
Completely.
It's not walking outside and all those other things.
Yeah, and as I say, you don't have to jump. You can also just press down. You can also just, lift one leg. You lift one leg up and balance, like lunge or foot, squats, tricep. You can do all these things.
You know what was amazing about Lisa's pregnancy and that's kind of how her rebounding journey actually started. Many people don't know this, but she knew about bouncing before. But when she gave birth to Bella, it was the one time in her life, because of a C-section cut, that she couldn't move.
Yeah.
And I think that's you're gonna give birth via C-section.
Yeah.
And I think what's gonna be very frustrating for you is that time afterwards where you can't actually you can't rebound. But one of the things that she did was she couldn't go run far, she couldn't walk. But when she got on a mini trampoline for the first time, started bouncing, I'll never forget her face when she looked at me, and we were at our farm, and she went, "No pain. This is not hurting." And she kept on bouncing, and that's how Bounty was born.
Yeah.
Because of a C-section. Because rebounding was the only thing that she could do for movement.
Yeah, and I wish more people could understand it. It's like I twisted my ankle a while back, and I was walking. I was in pain walking, and we had a marathon. It was a marathon day, and I was like, "How am I going to teach?" I jumped on the rebounder, and I was fine. I could move. It's like, I know people say, like, probably think we're just saying it because we're in it, and like, here's rebounders for you, but it's not about that. I promise you, like, once you've actually experienced it, it really does change your life. It has the most amazing benefits, and you can step onto the rebounder and jump with a twisted ankle versus walking. It's the strangest thing. It's very strange.
You know what's amazing is I was looking at you last night when you were bouncing, and it's actually quite extraordinary that your strength levels are that level, because I had this thing on my tummy, synthetic pregnancy, and I was bouncing. And the amount of exertion, I mean, I was over 800 calories.
Oh, wow.
By the way, I burned over 836 calories.
Wow.
Because of that additional weight, the side planks with this thing on me. And then the bouncing was extraordinary. But you know what I did notice, which is I haven't seen this in a pregnant woman before, and I think you're the first. Your body is exactly the same, pretty much, like when you didn't have this baby.
Yeah, I've managed to maintain. Look, I've picked up the weight, and which is important to pick up the weight because, you must.
You sure you haven't picked up more muscle? because of the additional weight.
Maybe, but I know I've picked up the weight, and I find that women are scared to pick up the weight in pregnancy, which is silly. And you know your amniotic fluid is there. You're doubling your blood volume.
Right.
So that there's a lot of weight that doesn't just come from your physical weight gain. There's a lot of weight that's coming from other things.
Sure.
So it's important to like feel comfortable that you are going to pick up some weight. It is what it is. I'm still eating chocolate. I'm not being like the healthy pregnant lady, let me tell you. But I'm staying active and I'm moving, and I think that that's what makes the difference. I'm staying active, I'm moving, and yeah, I truly like believe that that's something. And something else is like last night jumping. You would think like, okay, I'm pregnant, I can't breathe. Like my lung capacity is reduced because of where this baby is sitting, but I can breathe.
Wow.
Like I can actually breathe. I mean, you can see I'm doing that stuff, and I do need to slow down. And obviously,
I could not breathe.
I have to talk and direct a class and breathe.
Scream
and
at Stafford.
Scream at Stafford.
Yes.
And do a workout, but I can breathe.
That's
so
true.
I think my lung capacity is just so good, from rebounding as well.
Okay, awesome. Look, we can go on and on, but look, the key thing, and I just want to end with this again. This is not advocating that you're pregnant, go rebound. Don't do that. Okay, big disclaimer. Find out about your pregnancy. If you haven't got any preconditions, if you've never rebounded, don't think, well, now I'm going to pick this modality, because that's a big thing. If you've never rebounded and now you're finding out, wait a minute, you can rebound that you're pregnant, that change in your body, that exertion that rebounding will kind of expose your body to is probably not a good idea. So be very, very careful. If you're going to adopt this, slowly. Do the foundation program. 2 minutes to 20 minutes over 4 weeks. See how you go. Get a support bar. Make sure you're rebounding only on the best quality equipment. Okay, you don't want to go to some other retail store and go buy a cheap rebounder and start your journey. That's dangerous. Irrespective of your pregnancy, that's dangerous for you. So good equipment, start progressively, but make sure you've got the medical approval to do it. Okay, because this is perhaps not a unique case, but this is Steph's case. This is who she is, and I will say just like congratulations, because I think you've succeeded at this pregnancy. I remember trimester 1, you weren't in the greatest mood.
I was very nauseous.
Like, I don't want this anymore.
I was nauseous, I was sick. I was coming to classes and teaching nauseous, but which was so interesting, as soon as I climbed on the rebounder, I didn't feel the nausea
Anymore.
I said that to Lisa and she was like, what? I'm like, I don't know.
That's
I don't understand.
To be in the 3rd trimester as an instructor is, I mean, it's just incredible. Well, thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for all of you listening. I mean, there's another testimony that's quite profound. It's quite moving. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys.